Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Hare Krishna. So today is the appearance day of Vamana Dev. Vamana Dev. I have a picture here. It's a dwarf Brahman, expansion of Shri Krishna. And a few weeks ago, in our systematic reading of the Bhagavatam, we were already speaking about Vamana Dev. And somehow I gave the class that day, and I remember sharing a lot about his pastime with his devotee, Bali Maharaj. Most often when Krishna, at least in his Lila avatar, when he comes with a devotee or many devotees to glorify his devotees. So we have Krishna and Arjuna. We have Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. We have Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan and the gopis and Mother Yashoda and Devaki. And so in this incarnation, the Lord is going to appear to also glorify his surrendered devotee, Bali Maharaj. And my intention today is not so much to focus on the pastime, even so we will definitely go over the pastime. Where I wanted to go is in the verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, where it says that, like, when we understand the appearance and disappearance of the Lord, like, he will not take birth again. So I wanted to focus on that aspect because in this pastime, at least, Prabhupada gives us a lot for us to understand the appearance of the Lord and how the Lord appear and decide, to choose a certain shape to come and manifest himself. So that's where I would like to focus today. And we are not going to do one verse, so I'm going to do the evocation now. And then before I go there, I want to thank everybody who is here. In person, we have Rohini Prabhu who is here, Narayan Prabhu who is here, and Bhakta Eze. And then online, we have Dear Govinda Prabhu, and I see Ramachandra Prabhu. I imagine maybe Bhakta Kiss is there. And also we have Bhaktin Brielle online. Daru Prabhu is here, Lakshmi Priya Prabhu is here, Bhakta Dhru and Ladini Shakti Prabhu is here, Bhaktin Kim and Parampara Prabhu is here, Bhakta George and Rukmini Dwarkadish Prabhu is here, Nandini Prabhu is here, and we have Anasuya Prabhu here and Damayanti Prabhu here. So I'm very happy to be with all of you. And I'm going to invoke auspiciousness with introduction mantras to the Bhagavad Gita. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Yanajala Shalakaya Shakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Kadamayan Dadadi Swapadantikam Nandeham Shigu Shiyuta Padakamalam Shigu Vaishnavamsha Shirupa Sagajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saita Krishna Chaitanya Divam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha, He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagat Pate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanshana Gorangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sutedevi, Anamami Yari Priye, Ansha Kalpata Ubyacha, Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadada, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namine, Namaste Sarasvati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Askacha Dejatarine. Hare Krishna. So to go to that pastime, we are going to go to the universal affair. So in a universal affair, there is two main races, species, whatever. There is the divine, the demigods, and there is the demons. And then the demons and the demigods, through the Bhagavatam, they are fights. And there is always one that conquers the other one. So in that pastime, the demigods got a lot of power, and they were able to annihilate the demons and killed Bali Maharaj, who was the king of the demons. They killed him. And so they were very victorious, headed by Lord Indra, and Bali Maharaj was dead. However, his spiritual master, who is a descendant of Bringu dynasty, Shukracharya, was able to revive him back to life. He was able to revive him back to life. So that was some special boon for Bali Maharaj. So he became very dedicated to his spiritual master, Shukracharya. And all our power comes from our dedication to our spiritual master. So even so, Shukracharya is a demon's guru still, because Bali Maharaj really surrendered and endeavored to please his spiritual master and to please the Brahmana by different sacrifice. The Brahmana and Shukracharya became very, very pleased with Bali Maharaj, and then they allowed him to perform a very, very special sacrifice. And through that special sacrifice, Bali Maharaj attracted a lot of benediction from the sun god. He got benediction from his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj. He got so many benediction, and he got a lot of warfare kind of power, a chariot and weapons and things that kind of led him to the blessing of the Brahmana to be really invincible on the battlefield, very invincible on the battlefield. So to the blessing of the Brahmana, to pleasing the Brahmana, and he receives the blessing from the Brahmana, so many blessings that he become really invincible. And Lord Indra, he saw that, and so he saw that and he became very afraid. And he went to his own spiritual master and he said, Bali Maharaj is so powerful, you know, he's receiving so many boons. He has pleased the Brahmana to an extent that there is no way we can conquer him in battle. What to do? Brihaspati, who is the demigod's guru, the guru is demigod, he said, yeah, there's nothing you can do because nothing can counteract the blessing from a Brahmana. A Brahmana's blessing cannot be counteracted. So there is really nothing you can do. What Brihaspati advise all the demigods to do is like, lay low. Just hide all over the universe and lay low, because there's nothing you can do. And Brihaspati, he had a vision, and he was connected with the super soul, and he said, like Bali Maharaj cannot be conquered by force. So Lord Vishnu, pray to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is going to find a way to create that Bali Maharaj is going to offend the Brahmins, and through his offense lose all his power. So that's the plot. That's the plot in your universal affair, what's happening here. And so the mother of the demigod, so the demigod went to hide everywhere, and they were powerless. They were even amongst human beings. They were just like hiding all over the universe. And Kronito, really making sure that Bali Maharaj and all the demons don't find them. And then Aditi, who is the mother of the demigod, she was really lamenting. She loved her sons, and to see her son degraded to that extent that they need to hide, and she couldn't see them, and she couldn't see them glorious anymore. So she was really lamenting. And then at the time she was lamenting, Kashyapa Muni with her husband, who is also the husband of Diti, who is also the mother of all the demons. He came to the hermitage, to their house, let's say. He went to see Aditi, and he said, what's happening? What's up? Something happened. Someone insulted you, or you have lost your religious principles. And then he tried to figure out what was happening for her. And then she expressed how she's lamenting the loss of her children, the demigods. Like, she's not seeing them, they are not glorious anymore. And then Kashyapa Muni said, well, there's nothing. Even so, Kashyapa Muni is a very, very powerful Brahman, is a powerful demigod. He says, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. The only person who can do something is Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the only one. And again, we see that, like Dhruva Maharaj, who is a little boy, was really angry because his father took his kingdom from him. And his mother was very wise, also told him, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing nobody can do. Only Lord Vishnu can do something. So in any situation, we want to remember Lord Vishnu. We want to remember that against the coronavirus, there is no remedy. There is no material remedy to any material problem. The only remedy is to turn to Vishnu, to turn to Krishna. So Kashyapa Muni, he instructed his wife, Aditi, and she was very surrendered and submissive to her husband. And he told her, you need to turn to Vishnu. And he gave him the prior vatsas, 12 days of sacrifice, fasting and praying and doing all kind of activities, austerities for 12 days. The prior vata of vrata, it's a vrata, it's an austerity, because only through austerity can we please the Lord. So Aditi, she was so determined and devoted to her children and attached, because Kashyapa Muni is very explained that he wasn't attached, but he was seeing his lamentation of his wife. So he took advantage of that to instruct her to turn to Vishnu. So she followed for 12 days, she fasted, and she recited some specific prayer every day, and she did so many different austerity and sacrifices. And at the end of the 12 days, the Lord came in front of her. So what's happening for you? And she said, she said with vengeance a little bit, my children right now, they are conquered by the demons, and she wanted him to do something. And the Lord, his first response to his wife was, to Aditi was like, yeah, you want revenge. You want the mother of the demigods, Diti, to be lamenting, like you are lamenting now. And you say, and there is no force that can be used here. Even I don't have the power to do anything, to fight and to conquer, to reinstate your sons, the demigods, in heavenly planet. Because like now, Bali Maharaj is an inhabitant of the heavenly planet. He's in Indra's pasta, like the planet of Indra. He's enjoying all the riches of the heavenly planet, all the heavenly benefits and privilege. And that's where Bali Maharaj is. And Aditi, she's lamenting because she wants her children to be back to the heavenly planet. And the Lord said, I cannot do that. And what I want you to do is, he said, I'm going to come of your child. And what I want you to do is to worship your husband. And then now I'm going to read from the Bhagavatam. So I'm going to read from Canto 8. And I'm going to, from Canto 8, chapter 17, if some people want to follow. And I'm going to start from the start. So that's where we are at. Okay. So I'm just going to read the Sanskrit of the first verse, and after I will just go to the reading for us to read together. Sri Shuka Uvacha Ityukta Saditi Rajam Swabharta Kashyapena Vai Anvartista Vatamidam Twadasahamanam Atandritam. Sri Shuka Uvacha, Sri Sukadev Goswami said, it is thus, Ukta, being advised, Sa, that lady, Aditi, Rajam, O king, Swabhartra, by her husband, Kashyapena, Kashyapa Muni, by indeed, Anu, similarly, Atista executed, Vratamidam, this Payovrata ritualistic ceremony, Vadas Aham, for 12 days, Atandrita, without any laziness. Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband Kashyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instruction without laziness, and in this way performed the Prayovrata ritualistic ceremony. Purport. For advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow the bona fide instruction of the teacher. Aditi did this. She strictly followed the instruction of her husband and guru. As confirmed in a Vedic conjunction, Yasya deve parabhaktir, yata deve tata guru. One should have complete faith in the guru who helps the disciple make progress in spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, is a failure. Yashya prashadam nagati kutopi. Aditi very strictly follows the instruction of her husband and spiritual master, and there she was successful. So again, we see Bali Maharaj was successful by pleasing his spiritual master, and Aditi was successful by very strictly following the injunction of her spiritual master, not concocting anything independently. So I'm going to continue to read the part of this chapter. With full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembles forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovrata. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Anabhilyasita sunyam jnana karmadyam nirvitam anukulinyas krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, favorably and without desire for material profit or gain, to fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. This is a definition of pure devotional service as given in the Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. Only one simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. When the mind and senses will be controlled and one can engage fully in a devotional service of the Lord, the devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. I will continue, text 4. And, I choose those verses because there is so much instruction there about following the Guru and how to achieve that goal of pure devotional service. A devotional service that's not mixed with karma or jnana, a devotional service that's fully favorable to Krishna. And by practicing devotional service as presented and given to us by the spiritual master, and for us, Srila Prabhupada, then we have a chance, by following strictly his injunction and his instruction, to come to that level of activities favorable to Krishna. And naturally, by doing pure devotional service and performing pure devotional service, our senses and mind are going to be controlled. And our fever for material desire is going to become reduced and come to be nullified. Text 4, my dear king. So that's Sukadev Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, because that whole pastime was unfolding because of the question of Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, the original supreme personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garment and bearing a conch shell disc, club, and lotus in his 4 hands, then appeared before Aditi. So she did so much sacrifice that the Lord himself in his 4-arm form, as Lord Vishnu, is coming before her. That's so special. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a road to offer the Lord of respectful obeisances. Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord because of transcendental bliss. Tears filled her eyes and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy and her body trembled. O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigoddess Aditi then began offering her prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking to her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrifice ceremony, and the master and lord and of the entire universe. So Aditi, then she will offer prayers to the Lord, and I encourage you all to read prayers. There is so many prayers, series of prayers in the Bhagavatam. When the devotees are in contact with the Lord, they praise the Lord, and they praise not only his beauty, they praise the universal form, they praise so many aspects of the Lord, and to familiarize ourselves with those prayers will help us when we do get in contact with the Lord. If the Lord comes before us, to know how to pray in a way that's pleasing to the Lord. So I'm going to skip the prayers and I encourage you all to read them, because right now we are not focusing on the prayers of Aditi to Lord Vishnu, and to go to text 12. Text 12, translation read. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long-cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulence and driven from their residence by their enemies. The supreme purpose, Srila Prabhupada's purpose, the supreme personality of Godhead being situated in everyone's heart, and especially in the heart of his devotees, is always ready to help his devotees in adversities. Since he knows everything, he knows how things are to be adjusted, and he does the needful to relieve the suffering of his devotees. So Krishna is situated in our heart. He was situated in the heart of Aditi. Aditi prayed to him, and she glorified him so nicely that the Lord felt pleased by her austerity and her prayers. And then he's showing like, okay, I'm pleased by you, and I'm ready to support you. I know what's happening. You want the welfare of your son. O Devi, O Goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode and opulence. You want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husband when those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief. So he's really showing empathy. Lord Vishnu is showing empathy. You really understand her heart, what she wants in her heart. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual. And, O Mother of the demigods, in my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable. So, Krishna is showing his opinion about what's happening here in the universal affair. For they are being protected by Brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness. So, Lord Vishnu showed empathy to Aditi, and he showed also his understanding of what's happening in the universe. And in the universe, what's happening is that the demons, by pleasing the demigods, by being surrendered to their spiritual master, they cannot be conquered by force, by warfare. Like even Lord Vishnu himself cannot give the strength to the demigod to defeat them. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I'm reading all that because to me, it's a part of the pastime of Vamana Dev that I really relish. So I'm sharing the parts that I'm really relishing. When a person is favored by Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere when one is protected by a Brahmana. It is said, Go Brahmana Itayacha. The Lord's first inclination is to give all benediction to the cows and the Brahmanas. Therefore, if Brahmanas favor someone, the Lord does not interfere, nor can anyone interfere with the happiness of such a person. So here again is stress the importance of pleasing the Brahmanas, pleasing the spiritual master, pleasing the Brahmanas. I'm going to continue to read the verse. So now we are on verse 17. Yet, because I have been satisfied by the activity of your vow, O Goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you. For worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. So the Lord is not ungrateful. He's not saying, well, what can I do? The demons are so powerful. I cannot do anything. Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he can do everything in every situation. And he does it using his supreme intelligence. And that's what is so relishable in the pastime of the Lord. Text 18. You have praised to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Prayovata ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other sons. So the Lord is saying, because of your austerity and because of all Kashyapa Muni is a great sage and perform always austerities, I'm going to become your sons. And so going on to 19, always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband, Kashyapa. Go worship your husband, who has been purified by his austerities. O lady, even if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. So I know that's a principle that I have really experienced a lot in my many years of service with Dear Govinda Prabhu. That principle of keeping things secret until they are manifested, because that which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. So whatever we are churning inside in terms of our service, sometimes it's better to keep them secret between us and the Lord until it manifests. So that's a little à côté, something on the side that I wanted to share. Together, Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from the very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord will appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband. Being situated in a meditation trance, Kashyapa Muni, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered within him. Text 24. O king, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus give rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred this potency into the womb of Aditi. I'm going to read the purport, even though it's a long purport. I think it's very telling and supporting us to understand who the personality of Godhead is and how his appearance, like one who understands the appearance of the Lord will never take a birth again. And this purport is really giving us more for us to come to better understand. Purport. Yes, you can. Oh, any Prabhu.
Kashyapa Muni and Aditi were
Husband and wife.
And now this is saying that he is going to transfer himself to the womb of her.
He's going to transfer his potency. He was in trance. He's a great yogi, so he was in trance and he was able to see that a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu had entered his body. And then Lord Vishnu told Aditi, serve your husband. Serve your husband and see as carrying me inside him. And she did. And then when she served her husband and approached her husband transferred that potency of himself. And the purport will explain further to his wife Aditi. Yeah. Purport. As a forest fire begins with two pieces of wood rubbed against one another, being agitated by the wind, actually, however, fire belongs neither to the wood nor to the wind. It is always different from both. Similarly, here it is to be understood that the union of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi was not like the sexual intercourse of ordinary human beings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the human secretion of sexual intercourse. He is always completely aloof from such material combinations. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham sarva bhuteshu, I am equal toward all living entities. Nonetheless, to protect the devotees and kill the demons who were disturbing elements, the Lord enters the womb of Aditi. Therefore, this is a transcendental pastime of the Lord. This should not be misunderstood. One should not think that the Lord became the son of Aditi, the way an ordinary child is born because of sexual intercourse between man and woman. Here, it may also be appropriate to explain, in these days of controversy, the origin of life. The life force of the living entity, the soul, is different from the ovum and semen of the human being. Also, the combination soul has nothing to do with the reproductive cells of man and woman. He is placed into the proper situation because of his work. Karmana davanetrena. So we are not born because of the contact of a sperm and ovum. We are put into contact between a sperm and an ovum according to our karma. Karmana davanetrena. Life is not, however, a product of two secretion, but is independent of all material elements. As fully described in Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is not subject to any material reaction. It can neither be burned by fire, cut by sharp weapon, moistened by water, nor dried by the air. It is completely different from the physical element, but by a superior arrangement is put into these material elements. He is always aloof from the material contact, as Sango Yayam Purusha. But because he is placed in the material condition, he suffers the reaction of the material modes of nature. Purusha prakitisto hi bhukte prakiti jam gunam. Karanam guna sangashyat sadasha yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Also, the living entity is aloof from the material element. He is put into material condition, and thus he must suffer the reaction of material activities. When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayer to the Lord by reciting his transcendental names. So Lord Brahma is, of course, the creator of the universe here. And when he saw what was happening, when the Lord manifested in front of Aditi, he became very jubilant. And in his jubilation, he offered prayer to the Lord. And again, I encourage you to read those prayers. By reading those prayers, we learn how to approach the Lord. We learn how to glorify all aspects of the Lord, not being focused only on one aspect or even one manifestation of the Lord, but to really be in love and enamored with all aspects of the Lord. And those prayers can help us do that. So we are going to skip Lord Brahma's prayer. I apologize to Lord Brahma. And we are going to go to the next chapter, chapter 18. And there we are going to start for text 1. Narayan, would you like to read?
Chapter 18.
In text 1. Yeah, text 1. You read. You can read the translation and the purport.
Okay. Shukadeva Goswami said, after Lord Brahma had thus spoken, glorifying the Supreme. Shukadeva Goswami said, after Lord Brahma had thus spoken, glorifying the Supreme Lord's activities and prowess, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never subject to death like an ordinary living being, appeared from the womb of Aditi. His 4 hands were decorated with a conch shell, club, lotus, and disc. He was dressed in yellow garments, and his eyes appeared like the petals of a blooming lotus. The word Amrita Bhu is significant in this verse. The Lord sometimes appears like an ordinary child taking birth, but this does not mean that he is subject to birth, death, or old age. One must be very intelligent to understand the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord in his incarnations. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha. One should try to understand that the Lord's appearance and disappearance and his activities are all divyam. were transcendental. The Lord has nothing to do with material activities. One who understands the appearance, disappearance, and activities of the Lord is immediately liberated. After giving up his body, he never again has to accept a material body, but is transferred to the spiritual world. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naitimam eti swarjuna.
Dr. Eze, would you like to read translation to text 2 and 3?
The body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, blackish in complexion, was free from all inebrities. His lotus face, decorated with earrings resembling sharks, appeared very beautiful, and on his bosom was the mark of Srivatsa. He wore bangles on his wrists, armlets on his arms, a helmet on his head, a belt on his waist, a sacred thread across his chest, and ankle bells decorating his lotus feet.
Text 3.
An uncommonly beautiful garland of flowers decorated his bosom, and because the flowers were extremely fragrant, a large group of bees, making their natural humming sounds, invaded them with honey. When the Lord appeared wearing the Kaustuba gem on his neck, his effulgence vanquished the darkness in the home of the Prajapati Kashyap.
You can go into 4. Text 4.
At that time, there was happiness in all directions, in the reservoirs of water like the rivers and oceans, and in the core of everyone's heart. The various seasons displayed their respective qualities, and all living entities in the upper planetary system, in outer space, and on the surface of the earth were jubilant. The demigods, the cows, the Brahmins, and the hills and mountains were all filled with joy.
Those descriptions are so reminiscent of what we read and what we observe in ourselves in for Janmashtami. Janmashtami is something that the Lord came as four-armed form, and then it's described how there was jubilance all around, like the stars and all the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, that there is so much joy coming when the Lord decides to manifest himself within the material world. So it's a beautiful description. We can continue a little bit. Rohini Prabhu, would you like to continue?
On the day of Shravana Vadasi, the 12th day of the bright fortnight in the month of Bhadra, when the moon came into the lunar mansion Shravana, at the auspicious moment of Aditi, Abhijit, the Lord appeared in this universe. Considering the Lord's appearance very auspicious, all the stars and planets from the sun to Saturn were munificently charitable.
You can skip the purport and go to text 6.
O King, when the Lord appeared on Dvadasi, the 12th day of the moon, the sun was at the meridian, as every learned scholar knows. This Dvadasi is called Vijaya.
Vijay. We can continue. Text 7.
Conch shells, kettle drums, panavas, and anakas vibrated in concert. The sound of these and various other instruments was tumultuous.
Text 8.
Being very pleased, the celestial dancing girls, Apsaras, danced in jubilation. The best of the Gandharvas sang songs, and the great sages, demigods, Manus, Pitas, and fire gods offered prayers to satisfy the Lord.
Thank you. So we can see how so much happiness everywhere. Everybody is like effervescent with joy to experience the Lord on the planet, and that effervescence is available for us each time we chant the Maha Mantra, or we hold the Bhagavatam, or every time we are in contact with all the incarnation of the Lord. and of course, the Lord's pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Continuing, text 10. The Siddhas, Vyadadhar, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, Channaras, Yaksha, Rakshasa, Suparnas, the best of serpents, and the followers of the demigods, all showered flowers on Aditi's residence, covering the entire house, while glorifying and praising the Lord and dancing. When Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared from her womb, having accepted the transcendental body by his own spiritual potency, she was struck with wonder and was very happy. Upon seeing the child, Prajapati Kashyapa exclaimed, Jai, Jai, in great happiness and wonder. The Lord appeared in his original form, with ornaments and weapons in his hands. Also, this ever-existing form is not visible in the material world. He nonetheless appeared in this form. Then, in the presence of his father and mother, he assumed the form of Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf, a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor. So that's also reminiscence of Devaki and Vasudeva. They were in a prison house, and then Lord Vishnu appeared, and it was beautiful, and everybody was jubilant and sings the Lord in his yellow garments and forearm form and his effulgence and the jewel on his neck and all that. And everybody was showering flower too from the heavenly planet when Lord Vishnu appeared. And then he took his original form as Lord Krishna, baby Krishna. And here, the same thing as an actor, Srila Prabhupada say, and that's part of understanding the appearance and disappearance of the Lord, that the Lord is one, Lord Krishna, original form, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the original form of all forms, the fountainhead of all incarnation and expansion. And then it chooses different form, like a theatrical actor. So I'm going to read the purports, and then I will narrate the rest instead of reading it, because I see time is passing. So just like a theatrical actor, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The word nata is significant. An actor changes his dress to play different parts, but is always the same man. Similarly, as described in the Parama Samhita 5:33-39, the Lord assumes many thousands of millions of forms. Advaitam achyutam adam dinadantarupam adyam purana purusham. He is always present with innumerable incarnation. Ramarti Murti Sukalani Amatistam Nanavatara Makarod Bhuvane Shukintu. Nonetheless, also he appears in various incarnations. They are not different from one another. He is the same person with the same potency, the same eternity, the same spiritual existence, but he can simultaneously assume various forms. When Vamana Dev appeared from the womb of his mother, he appeared in the form of Narayan, with 4 hands equipped with the necessary symbolic weapons, and then immediately transformed himself into the brahmachari Vatu. This means that his body is not material. One who thinks that the Supreme Lord assumes the material body is not intelligent. He has to learn more about the Lord's position. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:9. One has to understand the transcendental appearance of the Lord and his original transcendental body, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So that's the main purpose that I wanted to read that part of the pastimes, that to support us to see the shape changing of Krishna, and how Krishna, he expands himself. You have his Purusha expansion to manifest this material cosmic manifestation. He has his Lila expansion for us to witness his pastime and get inspired to in our love. There is Guna avatar, you have so many avatars, and he's one and he's different at the same time. And it takes different form. And And what's beautiful about Krishna, like today I was thinking of Lord Vamana, but mainly I was thinking of Krishna somehow. Even so I saw myself a lot in Vamanadev's pastime, I really was thinking of Krishna and the mercy of Krishna. So we all know the pastime of Lord Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimhadev. How Hiranyakashipu became so powerful that he got the benediction from Lord Brahma to not be conquered on land, in the sky, by any weapon, by not a man, not a beast. We know that story, that Lord Brahma gets so many benedictions that it sounded like that Hiranyakashipu was immortal, because he kind of covered everything. Not on land, not in the sky, not in a house, not outside. So that everything was covered. Yet, Lord Brahma couldn't give the benediction to Hiranyakashipu to be immortal, but by all those benedictions, there was a sense that he was immortal, because there was no way to figure out a way to kill him, by material calculation at least. And the Lord appeared at Lord Nrsimhadev for many reasons, of course, to protect and glorify his pure devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. And also he accepted that form to not betray the words of Lord Brahma. And that's so considerate. The Lord is so considerate that he wants, when he appears to kill the demons or rectify the situation, he considers everyone involved. And then when he does one thing that have ripple effect for so many people around. So here he clearly said, I'm not going to give the power to the demigods, because nobody can change the blessing of the Brahmana to the demons. There is nothing to change there. So his clever self, Lord Krishna's clever self, took the form of a brahmachari Brahmana. And to that brahmachari Brahmana is going to go and see Bali Maharaj, who is in heavenly planets and is doing Ashwamedha sacrifice, like 100 earth sacrifice, which is the biggest sacrifice one can perform. It's very, very expensive. It requires tons of gold and opulence, like that. And so Vamanadev is described first. When he appears at Vamanas, and so many people come, Mother Earth come and give us deer skin, and then it's more like different demigods and demigoddess and personality come and offer him like a belt, and then you receive an umbrella, I don't remember from whom, and you receive a water pot, and then, that's Vamana with all his gifts that he received from everyone. That's Vamanadev. He's described as the most beautiful incarnation, like the Lord has 6 opulence, and he manifests his opulence in different incarnations. He manifests different opulences. So his opulence of beauty, he manifests the most in Vamanadev. And so Vamana is going to go to the sacrificial arena where Bali Maharaj is performing sacrifice under the guidance of Shukracharya, is Guru. And then when he arrived, all the Brahmanas, they felt so in awe of the beauty of this little brahmachari dwarf, Brahmana. They felt in awe, and all of them, they felt like they offered obeisances, they honored him, and they felt so attracted by him. And Bali Maharaj too, because Bali Maharaj is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. He's a natural devotee of the Lord, even so is the demons. He's very devoted to the Lord. So he felt so much attraction to this little Brahman, and he said, and it's customary for kings, their dharma is to lavishly offer charity to the Brahmana, lavishly, really, to give them anything they want. So when Vamana came, Bali Maharaj said, what do you want? You want land? You want a planet? He said, Dweep, you want a planet? Because At that time, he was a king of heaven. You want a planet, I will give you everything. You want fortune, you want the wife of a Brahmana, what do you want? And Vamana said, I don't need all that. This is greedy, I'm not greedy, I just want 3 pieces of land. And then Bali Maharaj, he argued with him. He said, come on, you're not intelligent, you're just a boy. You don't understand, life is difficult, you need to ask for more. But Vamana said, no, that's all I want. And then in Prabhupada's purport, there is many beautiful part in the purport where Prabhupada really shows the advantage and the freedom in just accepting what's to fulfill our basic need, our basic necessity, and not go for more than that. Those purports are very beautiful because they encourage us to really go to our basic necessity when it comes to material maintenance and not spend time to get more than that and spend time for devotional service instead. And so continuing the pastime, Bali Maharaj argued with Vamana, but at the end he said, okay, I'm going to give you that. And then Shukracharya, I could see, no, don't do that. He said to Bali Maharaj, don't do that. And you already had promised, I will give you everything you want. So Bali Maharaj was already bound by his promise to Vamana Dev. And Shukracharya said, no, don't do that. This little Brahmana boy is not a Brahmana boy, is Lord Vishnu. He's coming to protect your enemies, the demigods. You're going to lose everything. This form is going to take everything from you and you're going to become a pauper. And Bali Maharaj, he went ahead. So at that time, he broke his respect to his spiritual master. At that time, he chose to go against his spiritual master. And there again, there is beautiful purport from Srila Prabhupada that said, for the sake of Bhakti Yoga, for the sake of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we should be ready to let go of a teacher who is going to teach us something that go against the injunction of the Vedas to please the Personality of Godhead. So that's also an interesting purport there. And then, so Bali Maharaj said, okay, take your three pieces of land. And then he said, like, Vamana at that time, he grew his universal form. And then with one step, he covered all the planet. And then after that, with his arms and legs, he covered all the space. And then with the next step, he covered all the universes. And then there was nowhere to go because everything, it was covered already. Everything was covered. So there was nowhere to go. And then he said, okay, where should I put my third step? And then Bali Maharaj was a little puzzled at first. And then he said, please put your third step on my head. And then the Lord put his step on his head. And that's why Bali Maharaj, even though he's a demon, is one of the Mahajan. There is 12 Mahajan. There are personalities in the Shastra that you can meet reading the Bhagavatam. Yamaraj, Prahlad Maharaj, so many Mahajan, 12 of them. And one of them is Bali Maharaj. Why? And he's known, each of them are known to manifest different devotional service. Like Sukadev Goswami is known for Kirtan. Parikshit Maharaj is known for hearing, Shravanam. So Bali Maharaj is known for Atma Nivedanam. Atma Nivedanam is to give everything to Krishna. Everything was taken away from him and he gave everything. He gave more. He gave his own self to Krishna. Giving oneself to Krishna, Atma Nivedanam. So he's a Mahajan that represents that item of devotional service, of giving my very self to Krishna. And so that's how Lord Vamana Dev manifested as a dwarf Vamana, because the Supreme Intelligence to not defeat demons in a way that will go against the blessing that Bali Maharaj did receive from the Brahmanas. Hare Krishna, thank you for listening. It was really fun to share this part of the pastime of the appearance of Vamana Dev. And I hope that what we read, what we spoke about is supporting you in Janma, Karma, Charma, Devyam, in understanding the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and to never take birth again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Question, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, Daru Prabhu.
When you were talking earlier about the, something that you want to do, say, in devotional service, I've often wondered, like, you want to bounce it off maybe through friends, but then the question is, well, no, don't say it to anybody, or it won't happen. So how do you know when yes and when not to tell anybody?
Yeah, so that verse about what is confidential should be kept secret, and the Lord is asking Aditi, please keep that a secret. Not so long, because as soon as he can manifested himself for everybody knew in the universe. And, I believe that in each of us, we need to use proper discretion when to share what. I know what I've learned working with Dear Govinda, serving together for 20 plus years, and that at least like to have the support of the Lord to not, there is an expression, shoot the gun before it's, what's expression in English? Like being ahead of ourselves. Like if I have an idea for service and it's just an idea, to not reveal it before it's kind of solid, and at the same time, knowing who to work with to manifest that project or that service or that, like that. So you use proper discretion. My sense is that to share it as it serves the project and to not serve it in a way that doesn't serve the project. That's where I will go.
Thank you.
You want to share something?
Me?
Yeah, I think you unmuted yourself, so.
I was going to say the term is jump the gun.
Yeah.
Jump the gun.
The term is jump the gun, and I appreciate the discussion because both principles are true. Thank you, Keith. Yeah, both principles are true. There's the principle of like, even like in coaching, we say sometimes like if we share our goals with a coach, if we put our goals in writing and share them with a buddy, there's more chance that we'll fulfill them. So that's a principle. And then there's this principle that you're emphasizing that, a devotee is grave, sober, that Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Bigaya Na Bujaya, that it means like, when the mind is very deep and grave, not superfluous and easy to figure out. And so, because I'm really just following up on what you expressed, Malini, that like if we if we start sharing without proper discretion, I'm going to do this and we're going to do that and like that, then it just becomes this blah 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 drama that diffuses the energy, and then the potency is all gone. And then, did you hear that this one's going to, and he said he's going to, and she said she, and then the gravity is lost and there's no potency. There's no potency. It just becomes blah 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 gossip, or I'm going to. It's just like, show me the results. Stop talking. And yeah, exactly. And then and then there is the other principle that from a consciousness of gravity, and intention and being unbreakable, we might choose to share a vision with someone to to create synergy, to co-create, to engage them on the team that's going to make this happen, maybe to solidify my own dedication and commitment. So both principles are true, and as you said, Malini, it's kind of part of the art and science of communication and conscious goal attainment to know when to apply which principle.
Yes, thank you. And it's really Krishna speaking. Yeah, like Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. Yes. Thank you. Hi, Krishna.
Thank you.
I wanted
Thank
to
you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something too. It was in relation to this, but I just heard it put in a specific way that I just wanted to see if you could. I heard it put like not to share your internal bhajan. So what does that mean, like internal bhajan? Like I know it's kind of like the same thing that you're already talking about, but somehow I still want some more clarity on it.
Thank you, Bhakti Keith. And I'm not sure what you're referring to and who said that or where.
It was in an Ayendra class that I heard before.
Yeah. I haven't heard Srila Prabhupada sharing that, but and at the same time, for me, it seems common sense. Common sense that we will not share intimately what's happening inside us in connection with Krishna. Even Srila Prabhupada will say, even pure devotees, they kind of try to even hold back whatever manifestation of their ecstasy may be there to not disturb common man. And like Lord Chaitanya, for example, he was speaking very intimately, really not even with a handful of people, intimately, and very few could really understand the depths of his art, and he will share very intimately with a few people. And from the mass of people, he will give kirtan and prashadam and then the philosophy. So it makes common sense. I cannot bring a specific quote from Srila Prabhupada, and at the same time, it makes common sense to me. And in a sense, a lot of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada's mission of being to eradicate sahaja. And also we can see that there's an expression in France that, like, those who, I'm trying to translate this, those who have the least knowledge are the ones who want to spread it the most. It's an expression like that in France. And so it's something with spiritual advancement. It seems that sometimes there is a desire to show how advanced I am. And in a sense, someone who is really truly advanced is not going to show much. Because because they are going to content themselves, they are going to content for the sake of their service, for the sake of preaching, for the sake of supporting the common man to come to a place of being in contact with Krishna consciousness, chant Hare Krishna, read Srila Prabhupada's books, read the Bhagavatam, like that. So naturally, those intimate topics, they are not meant to be discussed in public forums. Yeah. I don't know if I responded to your question. That's what came to mind.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
One thing I was wondering was one of the purports Srila Prabhupada mentioned, the Vamana Hikayacha. Even before Vamana, there's cows. Like Krishna's maybe even more favorable to cows. We're talking about how he's like not willing to go against the Brahmana's wishes. He like finds roundabout ways to please the devotees while still respecting the Brahmanas. And yeah, that brought up for me like why is there so much cow slaughter? Like if Krishna's allowing our free will to like even kill like something that's so dear to him, then I was thinking like, are these cows the cows that this is talking about? And then like what is a Brahmana anymore? How is Shukracharya a Brahmana if Brahmanas are made by quality, not by birth, but it's both? And for me, it's like such a gray zone, and it just all the meaning kind of goes away. I don't really get what any of it.
Yeah, because it seems conflictual, like the cows are so dear to Krishna, and Krishna, is known as the protector of the cows and the Brahmana, and cows come first. How is he the protector of the cows? When on this planet, from our like direct experience, there is so much slaughter and torture of cows, so it doesn't make sense how Krishna protects the cows, and the cows are so abused, and the Brahmana with the Brahmana, and if he's protecting the Brahmana, how come the Brahman culture completely disappeared from the start of Shringi, really. As soon as the Lord left, then starting with Shringi, who did offend to Maharaj Parikshit and cursed him unjustly, then the Brahman culture is completely destroyed. So in the sense, the cows are destroyed, the Brahmanas are destroyed. And then you see Shukracharya, who is a descendant of Bhrigu, in a Bhrigu line of spiritual master, but he's not a real Brahmana because he doesn't want the welfare of Krishna, he wants the welfare of the demons. In fact, Srila Prabhupada explained how Shukracharya's fear, he was expressing his fear to Bali Maharaj, saying, you're going to lose everything. But really what he was saying is that, I'm going to lose everything, because Maharaj was lavishly like showering him with so much wealth. And so Srila Prabhupada explained how Shukracharya, he was only focused on his own benefit. Still, he had so much power that he could bring back Bali Maharaj to life. So it doesn't make sense. It seems contradictory. It seems contradictory that like Shukracharya is a Brahmana, he has the power of a Brahmana, and at the same time he's just a self-centered demons in a sense. And then you have all the cow slaughters. And so what does that mean in that verse? Go Brahmana Itayachan, like so he's a protector of the cow and the Brahmans. That we don't see, we don't witness that. There's opposites. So you're wondering, okay, what does that mean, cows? Is it really the cows here that we see, or is it not? You have a lot of questions like that. A lot of questions that brings a lot of doubt, that really trigger a lot of doubts about the Shastra and about the Veda and about the meaning of all that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure where to go with, what seems like an expression of your heart. I'm not sure you want a response even. I think it's just for you to wanted space to express what's happening. I know personally I don't see those contradictions. Like I'm not experiencing what you're experiencing, and at the same time I want to fully honor what you're experiencing and not come with what's true for me. Yeah, because I believe that's more useful for you. Yeah.
Can I just add or something?
Ramachandra is raising his hand.
Okay.
I had a question, and also I wanted to comment on Narayan's question, because I thought about the cow situation a lot. And I think, I'm not sure if it was Prabhupada or I heard it from a devotee, but it seems that there is like a dynamic between cow slaughter and abortions, because when you kill your mother, you're going to be killed with many hairs on the mother or something like that, 1,000 times more. So there's like a dynamic there. As long as there are abortions, and as long as there are going to be slaughterhouses, and as long as there are slaughterhouses, there are going to be abortions. And my question is around the man and woman secretions. Like I'm wondering, is because Malini Mataji, you were speaking about how we are like it's not like Krishna is not taking shelter of these secretions, and neither we are. And I'm wondering, like, so what is how actually like the specific living entity is entering the womb? Is it like there are like tons of living entities in every single like cell of the man's secretion, or is just like one specific living entity taking like advantage of the particular secretion? Or
Oh, I'm not hearing you too well. It's very much understand, but I think I understand your question. Your question is about the secretion of like the semen, the sperm and the ovule. If it's not, the living entity is not born of that, then where does it come from? Or how does he got in contact with the ovule and the sperm together? Is that your question?
yeah, and like, are there like, does the man like he has like tons of like living entities that are like fighting one another to take shelter of that particular relation of the ovule and the semen, or is just like one living entity? I was always like wondering about that.
I'm not hearing you too well, but you understand?
Yeah, my understanding of what he's saying is like, is each sperm cell like a living entity that's fighting to be born into that situation, or is just like the one that happens to, connect, like a sperm and an egg connect, and then, like the living entity comes?
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, that's what I meant.
That's what you're asking, like, because the sperm seems alive. Of course, like there is life everywhere.
Yeah.
There is, even in this body, of course, there is one cell, one soul that identified with the body. And within this body, there is so many living entities and so many souls too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the response I can give. And then it seems that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there is one sperm that's supposed to carry that living entity. Makes sense, but I cannot say that I have shastric evidence of all that. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada speaks how the demigods come through the rain, through the grain, and then the human being eats them. So do they go inside one sperm for one living entity and the other one will not be that living entities? I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe dear Govinda Prabhu, you have something that could enlighten us from your reading?
Well, I could refer interested persons, like Ramachandra Prabhu, the chapter towards the end of the third canto, Movements of the Living Entities, that very first verse, Karmana Daiva Naitrena Jantor Deho Papataye, and then it talks about the semen and the ovum. So right those very first verses of that chapter, I'm just suggesting by studying them closely, we might get some insight. I don't know if we'll get like a detailed answer there, as Malini said, wherever there's a living cell, there is a jiva. There's jiva, so that's clear. As far what exactly is the mentality of the jivas and all the sperms. I mean, I don't know if we'll get descriptions in there, but that could be a matter of realization. So that would be a place in Prabhupada's books where I would refer to read Movements of the Living Entities, Kapila Muni's teachings to his mother Devahuti, starting with the first verse where it kind of talks about this. That's the place I'm most familiar with when Prabhupada directly addresses this.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you both.
Yeah, I was just going to say also, that, yeah, the simple thing is that Christian's involved in all these things, whether it's a cow cell that's going to be born as a cow or that's going to be on a slaughterhouse farm or on a devotee farm. I mean, Christian knows exactly who's going to which, and he puts them in different ejections and knowing exactly where that soul's semen's going to go. And so it's like that. I mean, and the same thing with people. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems pretty clear to me. It's not just a surprising thing. I don't know.
Yeah, so what you're saying, that was, I understand it, is that like, it's radical responsibility. Responsibility that there is cows that are being slaughtered because of the direction of the activities and desire of living entities, and each living entity, each soul is put into the perfect situation for them, and even if it means that they are put into the body of a cow that's being killed.
Yeah, exactly. We shouldn't be freaked out. Oh my God, we got to save them all. No, I understand any cow that's born on a slaughterhouse or some farmer next door selling for meat, he was a soul who had a karma to be slaughtered. Now we may save him and all, but I'm just saying, don't freak out about it. It's understood that was his karma to be born on that farm, not our farm. So anyhow, it's pretty simple to me.
Yes, thank you. It seems that there is a balance there, that the devotee is compassionate. So the devotee doesn't want to see any cow suffer or be slaughtered. And at the same time, the devotee does understand that there is no mistake in the universe, that everything is in place the way it should be. And at the same time, a devotee is compassionate, even if we see a cow or dog or human being put into distress and being put in hellish situation, then the devotee naturally will feel compassion and feel that they do want the welfare of that living entity. So it's like balancing, like not going into activism and wanting to counteract the perfectness of things being in place in Krishna's creation, while not being casual or hard-hearted, and feeling compassion and feeling the pain that the living entity are feeling. Yeah, so it's a balance of the two principles. Thank you, Daru Prabhu. Thank you all for listening.
Hare Krishna. May I also have a question? I know it's late.
Yes, Ladini Shakti Prabhu. I spoke for a long time. I took extra time because it's a special day of the Lord Appearance Day.
Yeah.
So I can relate to Narayan Prabhu that like it's really confusing to me with the like protection of the cows, and then it's not happening obviously on the material level, and also protection of the devotees also not really happening, at least on the material level. So that would seem obvious that like Krishna is protecting the soul and not like, or like that the soul stays connected with Krishna in the cows and in the devotees. But then there is Aditi, and he comes to like protect her material desire because she is his devotee, and her desire is like to defeat the demons, which doesn't sound to me spiritual at all, and that's really perplexing. Like how these two go together. Like it's like okay, Krishna, so like he's protecting the soul, that would make sense. But then like with Aditi or Dhruva Maharaj or some others, then all of a sudden he also cares for the material desires. So that's strange.
Krishna seems to make sense. He's
He's doing whatever he wants.
is not making sense, because for the cows are being slaughtered, so you can kind of in your mind rationalize, okay, he's not saving the body of the cow, but he's really taking care of the soul of the cow. But then and then it doesn't seem that he's protecting his devotees' material situation, or circumstances. Some devotee, are dying. Some devotee are being tortured. Some devotee are being put in so many difficult situations and so much pain. But here in that situation and the situation of Dhruva Maharaj, it seems that the Lord come to Aditi, who is just angry and wants her son's protection and her son to be reinstated in their glories and get the demons out of the way. And it seems that it's material. So how come the Lord seems to be so partial to Aditi, for example, to fulfill her material desire?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to respond to that.
Well, just in the reflection, I feel already like you gave me a response that Krishna is not in any box. But
Krishna is not in any box, and also he is in charge of the material affair in some way as Lord Vishnu Narayan, and the demons being in a heavenly planet was a disturbance for the whole cosmic manifestation. Something was out of order, and so he needed to. Of course, Krishna does more than one thing. It was not simply about Aditi. It was not all about Aditi's desire for her sons. And it was also the desires of demigods who couldn't do their service properly. Like he said, like, yes, your son, you're not going to be able to worship me with your son, so they cannot do their service properly. And then there is the cosmic affairs, like all the organization of the cosmic affairs that were out of purpose and kind of off balance. So Krishna do one thing and it looks like it's all about Aditi, but really it's not only about Aditi, and it's about so many other things.
okay, thanks. That helps.
Hare Krishna.
Hare-
Hare Krishna, thank you all. Thank you all for your association. Grandparent Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vamana Devi jai ki jai. Lord Shri Vamana Dev ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dasi Prabhu.